Hello, I'm Pastor Scott Villain with HolyImpactMinistries.com. At Holy Impact Ministries, we believe the whole Bible is relevant today, and not just half of it. We also believe what our Messiah told us, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, when he said he did not come to abolish the law or the prophets. He didn't even come to change the crossing of a T or the dotting of an I in Matthew 5:17 and 18. We also understand the Apostle Paul when he wrote in Romans 3:31 that we do not nullify the law by our faith. By no means. On the contrary, we uphold the law. If you'd like to know more about what we know to be true, please visit us at HolyImpactMinistries.com. In the meantime, we hope that this teaching would be a blessing to you.
Acts 21:18. On the following day, Paul went in with us to James, and all the elders were present. After greeting him, he related one by one the things that God had done among the Gentiles through his ministry. And when they heard it, they glorified God, and they said to him, "You see, brother, how many thousands there are among the Jews of those who have believed. They are all zealous for the law. And they have been told about you that you teach all the Jews who are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, telling them not to circumcise their children or walk according to their customs." Now, let's stop right here for just a second. Why were they told that Paul taught the Jews to forsake Moses and told them to not circumcise their children? Because Paul was preaching to the circumcision group who wanted to put circumcision before faith. What did Peter tell us? He said, the writings of Paul are hard to understand. Why were they hard to understand? Because of this circumcision group that kept wanting to say that you could be saved by simply being circumcised. They wanted to force circumcision on the new converts. So, when Paul was heard preaching against this, they assumed he was teaching and preaching against circumcision and the laws of God. He was not. He was simply saying that you must be led by the Holy Spirit to be circumcised of your own accord, because the Spirit has moved you to do so. You cannot be forced to be circumcised by some man. The circumcision is not valid unless it is done willingly by someone who is led to be obedient to God by the Holy Spirit. Acts 21:22. Let's continue. What then is to be done? They will certainly hear that you have come. Do therefore what we tell you. We have 4 men who are under a vow. They're talking about a Nazarite vow here. He says, take these men, he tells Paul, and purify yourself along with them and pay their expenses, so that they may shave their heads. Thus all will know that there is nothing in what they have been told about you, but that you yourself also live in observance of the law. But as for the Gentiles who have believed, we have sent a letter with our judgment that they should abstain from what has been sacrificed to idols, and from blood, and from what has been strangled, and from sexual immorality. Then Paul took the men, and the next day he purified himself along with them, and went into the temple, giving notice when the days of purification would be fulfilled, and the offering presented for each one of them. Clearly, my friends, this is the nail in the coffin when it comes to any doubt that Paul kept the laws of God and always taught others to do the same. There are some who will try and say that Paul only did this to trick the Jews into accepting the gospel. But what seems more plausible to you, my friends? Do you think Jesus would go along with Paul being tricky and deceitful and tricking people into accepting his salvation? Or do you think it's self-evident that Paul was doing exactly what our Messiah commanded? I would submit to you that our Messiah would in no way, shape, or form condone or agree with Paul being deceitful and tricking people into thinking he kept the law if indeed our Messiah had done away with it. It just doesn't make any sense. It is unbiblical on its face. But that's what our modern-day Pharisees would have us to believe. Once again, what does James say in Acts 21:24? Acts 21:24. Take these men and purify yourself along with them and pay their expenses so that they may shave their heads. What does he say? Very clearly here he says, so that all will know that there is nothing in what they have been told about you, but that you yourself also live in the observance of the law. James says clearly that Paul himself also lives in observance of the law.
If you were blessed by this teaching, please consider helping us reach the nations by making a donation today. Thank you, and shalom.